Hello there, good evening and a very warm welcome along to 4-0 Sunday Live, a spiced up brand new intro for you as well. Love getting the chance to update those during the week. Would you believe it? We are not a minute into the stream. There are 163 people joining us right from the beginning, which was 190 now. That's gone up by 40 in like 2 seconds. I think that is a 4-0 Sunday Live record, so thank you very much for being with us. Can't think why. Might have been a game yesterday that went quite well, maybe a big win for Pompey, not sure. Get into that in a minute. In all seriousness, it's going to be, that's a tough crowd. No one laughed. Going to be quite some show tonight. I can already feel it. Let us know where you're joining us from this evening, how you are, what you made of yesterday. Joe saying hit the like button. Hello to Stacey. Ryan says we are on our way. Hello to Paul from Southsea on Facebook. AP's in from Maine in the USA. Greetings to you too. Thank you to everybody for being in. You are... I'm the nicest person Michael has ever met. Michael, you clearly haven't met many people, mate, because I know far many people much nicer than me, but that's really good to hear, and thank you very much for that indeed. Hayward's impressed with Daniel's attire on the stream. Lead saying, good evening, lost my voice. Me and Gaz were struggling. Hello to the travelling... This is a bit of an issue, guys. I know you're all saying hi, but as the comments come through, I'm clicking on them and it's not clicking on the one I'm clicking on because they're all firing through. But welcome to you nonetheless. Thank you for all letting us know you are here and with us. And Pepe's biggest fan, Shania, is back in the building. Of course she is. She's here. Hello to Kendall Hope. Welcome along to the stream. Welcome to Viv Pester watching all the way from Wiltshire. There is only one place to begin. Making his 4-0 Sunday Live debut in the top left-hand corner of your screen. A very good evening to Dan. Has yesterday fully sunk in yet?
It's definitely sunk in, Tom. I've never been more proud to be a Pompey fan, and I'm privileged to be in such esteemed company tonight. Thank you for having me.
The feeling's very mutual. It's not quite his debut, but it is always a pleasure to have him with us. And I think, actually, guys, if everyone looks at the top right-hand corner of their screen, I think that might be Barney from Fournilwrittenalloverit. Good evening.
I might have to start be known as Barney from Express FM Football Hour, if I'm honest. I'm probably on there more these days. You're welcome, Jake, if you're watching.
He won't be. Evening, sir. How are you?
Yeah, very good, mate. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I hope you're well too.
Oh, very well. Well, I couldn't be happier. He could not be there yesterday, but he's with us tonight. Mr. Pepe Lacey. How are you, Sam?
Evening, Tom. Yeah, gutted I wasn't there yesterday, but unfortunately, work got in the way. But Pompey won. That's all that matters. I don't really care. Now just get me to Adams Park a week on Friday, Tom.
Yes, it's hopefully that one absolutely flies by. We can get there as soon as possible. I will be definitely giving Pepe cuddles when we stay top of the league for that one. And finally, but by no means least whatsoever, live Bournemouth Airport departure lounge until the final call for his flight back to Malta. Gaza, what a weekend again, mate. Probably the best. Well, definitely. We said it earlier. The best we've shared together all season.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Bournemouth departure lounge at the moment. I'm squeezing literally every second of this weekend out with you. Obviously, you just dropped me off at the airport no more than like half an hour ago. So yeah, as always, it's a pleasure to chip in on this. And I'm very grateful and thankful for everyone that spoke to me over the weekend, especially at the game yesterday. I mean, it was absolutely epic from when we left until the final whistle. And even after the final whistle, there was like 5-10 minutes of just singing along. It was like, thank you, Peterborough, for letting us use your stadium while you went home, because we were still bouncing around for at least another 5-10 minutes, wasn't it? But yeah, it was absolutely really good day. And can't wait for the next one.
We haven't got you for very long, Gaz, so we'll jump straight in with it. If you wouldn't mind, we obviously haven't got Gaz for full hour. He's off on his travel shortly. In terms of the game, what did you make of Pompey's conduct from sort of minute 1 to minute 90? What a performance!
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think. A slight concern obviously when the team sheet came out, because we thought, where's our mate Paddy, because obviously he just disappeared and then he wasn't even in the squad. And then obviously we thought, oh, what's happening there? And then we found out that he got ill. And then we saw Swanson and no Rafferty. And then obviously subsequently now we know about the illnesses. But obviously, yeah, we were a bit threadbare yesterday, and we said obviously, the bench looked a bit weak, etc. But it was the actual bench that actually provided the goal. So it just goes to show how much we know about football and subs. But overall, I think they actually dug deep in that, definitely the first half, because Peterborough were on us. They were like, that final third of football that they were playing, they were spraying the ball across everywhere. And to be fair, they got some good players in there, but we managed to contain them. And that's why our defence yesterday was absolutely, I'm not saying it was, rock solid, but they definitely held their own. Because obviously Peterborough did have their chances. That scary moment when they hit the bar and it come down, that could have gone anywhere on any other day. But other than that, there was players that actually stepped up yesterday, and to a man, they needed to, because let's face it, Peterborough aren't, and they are a difficult side to play against. Obviously, yes, they can see goals, and yes, they score a lot of goals. But yesterday, a better performance, I thought, yesterday than what we had at Blackpool. But Blackpool, maybe a different game because it was 10 men we were playing against. So yeah. Game management, it was all brilliant. Massinio got him in at half time. It was all really in our hands at half time, and I was just happy that we managed to, get that goal. And when it went in, my God, I don't know, it was bedlam. I mean, we had that stand behind the goal, and then we had that right hand side as well, and it was just legs, arms everywhere. I didn't know. I think I hugged about 100 people in about 30 seconds.
It was one of those, wasn't it? David said the players' management display such resolute belief, steadfast calmness and ultimate professionalism. Hopefully, David, you'll see some similarities with 4-0 Sunday Live tonight with the players. Dylan said, at work with Chef Dan. Big shout out to Big Chef Dan. Jake said, big love to you guys. Thanks for the phone call yesterday morning and evening. Darren reckons this is our year. Hello to Martin from San Jose, California. Welcome along. KP, this made me laugh when I saw it. He said, it was a great away day, great win, and a pretty good 9-inch sausage before the game. I'm going to assume that's something that I'm assuming that's something you had from a condiment stand before the game. We're going to ask no more questions whatsoever. Before any more eyebrows are raised, let's take a moment, shall we, to have a little look back at what was an absolutely unforgettable afternoon at London Road. A very good evening and a very happy Friday, Andrew!
Yes, Tom, happy Friday on our way to the borough of Peter.
It's worth remembering that we're the team at the top of the league.
We shouldn't fear these teams.
Overall, a balanced game. We're in this.
Never have we been prouder, never have we been closer.
Play up, Pompey!
Pompey's first win at London Road in 5.5 years of waiting. The man of the match poll will shortly be up and running in the live chat below. I'm interested to see how this one goes tonight. Before we hit 0 hour in the chat before, when we all sort of come on and say hello, Gaz mentioned that this was absolutely not worth repeating live, but I'm going to say it anyway. Pompey have 83 points after 39 games in League One this season, accounting for 3 points for a win as an all-time metric. Only once in our history have we had more points at this stage of a league campaign, which was 84 points in 1961-62. We finished the top of the third tier that season. Pep's massive win. An example also of winning through circumstance. Gaz mentioned it there. Paddy Lane, Joe Rafferty ill on Saturday morning. That obviously completely throws the game plan of what Messina had planned during the week out the window. Not ideal to have to chop and change, etc. Against a team that's so good on the turnover as well. To go and win 1-0 against the best side I've seen us play this season, you must be so pleased.
Oh, absolutely. You've got Joe Rafferty on the bench, who's, I mean, to be fair, Zach Swanson's a very good replacement. Paddy Lane, who's probably one of Pompey's best wingers this season. And then Christian Sadie goes off after half an hour as well. And then all the injuries that we've talked about for the last weeks and months, they're all out as well. And Pompey come up with sort of their second side. And yes, it's a counter-attacking goal, but Pompey defended with heart. They defended their box so well. And it's what we've seen from Pompey all season. Hearty defending. And they came away with a win, a very good win against a side who are banging form. I think it was 5 wins in 5 before going into the game. They play exciting attacking football. Their wingers are a threat, and you can't even close your eyes without they come at you at any, they pounce at any mistake. And yes, I'll take a 1-0 win. I would have taken even a draw yesterday. I think it was one of those games you just sort of want to get through. You don't want to lose because they're a promotion rival, but then also see Derby beating Bolton as well, and us beating Peterborough now makes the gap to third, 9 points, and I'm starting to dream.
Pepe started agreeing. Graham said the Pompey fans are fantastic yesterday. I don't get to many away games anymore. Listening to all the fans singing and bouncing around was great to see. Posh fans didn't know what hit them. Scott reviews things. Just said, just a brilliant result. I firmly believe this result sends us up. Brilliant video yesterday, Tom. Thank you very much, Scott. That was the, it is the fastest growing Fournilwrittenalloverit video of the season. Thank you. So thank you very much indeed to everyone out there. Barn, containment of a dangerous team. The overtake then on the counter, courtesy of that man. 3 goals in 2, Mr. Cassini Yengi.
Yeah, I think we've seen it a few times this season, haven't we? How the first half was all about our opponent. We've done it a few times away from home this season where they've been the more dominant team, but we've been resolute, we've held on, and then it's taken a really solid counter attack and fantastic composure from Gavin White. I mean, he's not had much game time. He's probably been arguably most fans' most criticised player online, and you really have to be honest. That's being picky, really, isn't it? If you're looking at league minutes, if that's our worst player, other people's words, not mine. What a moment he's had there. The composure to hold up the ball, hold up the play, wait till Yengi's in the right place, and then release the ball as he did to Yengi. Fantastic touch from Yengi that sets him up, because a few times balls were sprayed into him in the last game, and he didn't. His first touch wasn't fantastic, but yesterday rather, great first touch. The little step over to throw the defender, and then the finish, fantastic.
Barney's outlined it really well there, Dan. It is a perfectly constructed counter-attack goal from Pompey.
Yeah, it is. But all afternoon, Tom, even in the first half, we've spoken about Marlon Pack's contribution again the last few weeks. The options that his teammates are giving him going forward. There was always an out ball from midfield, and once Gavin White came on, his energy changed the game as well. Gavin White is probably a shout for man of the match as well. He only played 20 minutes, but what he contributed in that time was the best 20 minutes I've seen him have in a Pompey shirt, certainly. I saw a tweet out earlier today where it spoke about his just his stats for the game. 12 out of 12 passes completed when he comes on. Constant running, constant composure, but there was running and options all over the pitch, particularly in the second half, but also in the first half. And very brave of Messina to match up the 5-man midfield by going 3 at the back. So there were times we rode our luck, I can see, particularly first half. But you've got to say that we made our own luck yesterday, and the execution of that goal is fantastic.
Gaz, goal, the 4 passes from the edge of the edge of our own penalty area, the one that Peterborough attacking, 4 passes and Pompey are in the opposition box. That's just a goal that goes exactly to plan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's very similar to like Sadie's goal when we had the assist by the corner flag. From that corner flag, we had that challenge in the middle, and then obviously Pack played it through, and then obviously, Sadie scored. This one here was fantastic. And bear in mind, we were at Blackpool, obviously last weekend, and we were watching Gavin White train on his own. And it's not a nice thing to see, because obviously he wants to be part of the squad, and he wants to be part of this, part of this team, and he wants minutes. But the fact that he came on yesterday, and he almost changed the game himself. It was almost like he grabbed it, a bit like what Paddy Lane does sometimes in games. He grabs it by the scruff of the neck. The game says, I'm going to do something now. And like the stats said, he was really good with his passing. He was really, committed to tackles. And yes, we were a little bit lucky, like Darren Ferguson said yesterday. That should be, our players should be fouling him. It's like, I'm not all for just fouling for the fouling's sake. At the end of the day, he's done a great job there. He's picked the ball up and he's still managed to spray that ball across the Yengi, even while being pulled by the jersey, and Yengi's still got a bit of work to do in that box. He's just dropped the shoulder, and it just goes to show the pace on that first movement of the first couple of meters. Yengi's got that. And obviously the rest, once the ball went in, it was just a fantastic, it was almost like a relief, because we didn't want to lose that game. And once that went in, and it was like 77th minute, wasn't it? So we still had a bit of time to go, plus injury time, which was 5 minutes yesterday. So we still had 20 minutes after that to play. And then sometimes when you've just scored, you're either at your weakest or your strongest. And obviously yesterday, we just managed to contain it, and game management yesterday was absolutely perfect from Messina.
Chris said too close to call between Pack and Yengi for man of the match. That turn of pace out of nowhere for the goal through was unbelievable. Zenchno said Yengi's been so good having to deal with being benched after a brace to come on earlier than expected to win us the game, and probably the most important goal of the season so far. What a player. Barn, that's something I wanted to talk about actually. Messina benched Yengi, let's not forget, and he probably would not have come on as early as he did had it not been for the issue with Sadie, which we're led to believe is not a hamstring tear, is an ongoing hamstring issue that's being dealt with and doesn't rule him out for a significant period of time, and hope we see him back for Wickham. But in terms of a mentality thing for Yengi to come off a high of Tuesday night and score 2, win Pompey the game, win the penalty, score the second goal, which proved to be the winner, it takes a lot to then just go, oh, he's going to bench me. How must he have been feeling before he was able to come on?
He seems like he's got the right positive mentality to cope with being dropped after that. And I imagine even before Tuesday's game, Messina's probably said, look, this is rotational. This is giving Bishop a rest. He's not scored for a few games. So, yes, this is an opportunity for you. But unless something bad happens, Bishop will start at Peterborough. There might have been like Bishop being, I'd say, arguably stronger than Yengi, probably only just to be fair, but just more league experience. If you're going to go to bigger teams away, you probably want someone with that bit more British league experience than Yengi's had with the few games he's had for us. So I would suspect that would be something they'd long prepped before yesterday. And they even look, of course, as into subs before the game. They already have maps planned out. If we go 1-0 down, if it's still 0-0, if there's an injury in certain areas, who's going to come on. So Yengi's probably knowing he's going to get minutes yesterday. Just as you say, they've come a lot earlier than he might have expected.
Gaz is off.
I need to go because everyone's waiting. Not that they're waiting for me on the plane, obviously, but there's no more queue. So I need to go, people. So anyway, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Don't forget to hit that like button. And I'll see you all at an away ground soon. Take care, people.
He knows how to do it. Cheers, Gazza. See you soon, mate. Gazza the way from Malta joining us live on 4-0 Sunday Live this evening. And it's always a pleasure to have him on. Even if it's just for that short little bit, it's always great to have him with us. And we're going to come back to Yengi a little bit later on, winning that game whilst under strength as well as a team. That takes some top tier fullback performances, Peps, and that is exactly what we got in equal measure from Jack Sparks and Zach Swanson.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned just a minute ago. Was Peterborough's most attacking threat is out wide. You got Poku on the right, and then Mason Efron-Clark on the left, and Zach Swanson, who's, I can't remember, that's his first league start in months, isn't it? And to be put against one of the best wingers in League One is some doing, and he battled well. The only thing major issue was when Efron-Clark hit the bar, but other than that, he kept him quiet, which is outstanding from a player aged 23 who hasn't started a game for months, coming back from a long injury. And then Jack Sparks, everyone was concerned when Conor Ogilvie went out injured a couple of weeks ago, and Jack Sparks has filled the role beautifully once again, like we saw over the Christmas period. And Pompey's fullbacks yesterday, outstanding against the league's best in terms of goals and contributions coming from out wide. So 10 out of 10 from both of them. And that puts us in good stead when you know your two main fullbacks, Joe Rafferty and Conor Ogilvie, when they are out injured, they've got replacements who can do the job perfectly.
Yeah, you're bang on. We should say a very warm welcome to Efron Mason-Clark to the Jack Swanson Back Pocket Club. He won all 4 of his tackles, Dan. Jack Swanson, all 6 of his duels in his first 90 minutes since October. Pepe's outlined in there. I turned to you. I told you how impressed I was with Swanson. Thrown straight in. A few people will be joining us will have noticed he was swapping wings with Sparks a few times during the game as well. And he's a big game player. Think Derby, think Spurs.
Yeah, he ran over to us around 65 minutes towards that byline, didn't he? And I turned to you and I said, he looks absolutely exhausted. You could tell maybe he hadn't had the greatest amount of playing minutes, but he was putting in a shift, and he never stopped. And this is what we're talking about when we say that there were man of the match performances all over the park. You pick out a couple of big performances there, and we all remember the game at Tottenham. The boy knows what he's doing and can defend. He's got a very good football brain for a lad of his age, and a lot of honest endeavour yesterday.
But to build on that defensive display conversation, against one of the best attacking teams in the league that we saw, 32 goals conceded for Pompey this season. That is the fewest of any other League One side.
I think it's the development. I mean, we've been forced into so many injury changes this season, haven't we? You're losing key players like Regan Poole early in the season. I don't think there'd be many Pompey fans that would be telling the truth if they said they weren't worried about Raggett filling in at centre back. But that man has had an almighty improvement this season. Never thought he was bad, but certainly you just wonder, was he going to be cut out enough for us to be league winners and for us to finally get over the line out of League One? And I just think he's been fantastic. Him and Shaughnessy seem to have really, really gelled together. He was my shout for man of the match yesterday from everything I got to see whilst I was at a wedding yesterday. His composure again on the ball, coming out from the back a few times. He seems to look up a lot more, more confident with the ball at his feet without having to look down and see what he's doing. You think back to my favourite negative moment, if you can call it a favourite, when him and the goalkeeper that went down the road, they had a little mess up in front of the front end once, didn't they? And it was kind of, he looked like a schoolboy getting the ball lost under his foot. Those days are gone, and long may it continue, because Raggett, I'm not one to get a player on the back of a shirt anymore, but if I was, it'd be Raggett at the moment. I think the man's done so well.
We need to make that happen. You need a Raggett shirt.
I've got the pink shirt here, so maybe I'll get Raggett put on at the end of the season.
We'll make it happen. Stefan has very kindly donated just under $5. He said, watching from Northern California, nobody's talking about the American referee. Called it MLS style, which allows a lot more pushing and collisions. We'll come back to Barn on that very shortly, because I know he'll have a strong opinion on that. And I'm sure that Ian's mentioned it there as well. Jake Smith does need the tattoo. That's his second mention of the live hour so far, only 25 minutes in. So it's almost like a Three Lads in the Pub podcast. Dan, we should say Posh were good. Pompey were superb. The only match this season where Peterborough failed to score at home in the league. What does that tell you?
It just tells me that we maintained our shape throughout. We defended manfully, and we gave ourselves options and outballs. Everyone's spoken about Marlon Pack's return to form in recent weeks, but a lot of that's been about the personnel in front of him giving him options. So I felt that, while Peterborough were attacking us, particularly in that first half, and Burrows gets forward with the flash cross goal and the one off the underside of the bar, by and large, we maintained our shape and we always gave ourselves an out ball. It's easy to forget now, but Harris and Kamara were running towards those touch lines and making those out balls possible, and just keeping that pressure off us for prolonged periods, and making sure that we had some kind of respite. So it was a team effort. We defended from the front yesterday.
I had a little look at our average positions for the game yesterday, and it's quite, actually, it's not scary, but it's quite interesting reading Pepe, how, I don't know whether it was, and we spoke about this at the top of the show, whether the kind of the formation change and what he had to go with was kind of a byproduct of this. But if you take a look at that suggests it's quite an aggressive front four. We knew our work without the ball would probably determine the outcome of the game yesterday. It's what is it there? 2-4-4 as an average. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? That was Pep's, by the way.
2-3-1-4. I don't know.
Yeah.
2-3-1-4. That's very good. Can you hear me? My Wi-Fi.
I can hear you. You froze a little bit. We can still hear you. Crack on. Maybe you can't crack on. No, you're back. Go on. Yeah, we can. Go on. Crack on.
My Wi-Fi's on tilt here. It's absolute shambles. But it's like a 2-3-1-4. It's very aggressive from Pompey and it's very narrow. Can you...
I'm going to very briefly remove Pepe and advise him to do a little refresh. Barn, 4 at the front, aggressive.
It is, but I've referred to it in previous streams of Know about the flexibility of our team depending on the phase of play that you're going through. It's something that Mourinho is that much more modern manager, rather than sticking to an old-fashioned 4-4-2 or the Kenny Jacket 4-2-3-1 as I call it. You need players to adapt. If we're on a positive phase of play and we've got them under the cosh, we need players to react to that. You can see Pack always likes coming deep there. You'd expect that. He's always going to be, he almost fills in as like the third centre back, which frees up the wingers or the wing backs to move forward. It doesn't shock me, but it's a great lineup to see. And I just wish I was there to see it all in person.
Let's talk about a little bit more about Gavin White, Dan, if you will. I know you touched him earlier on. We were saying in the video yesterday, weren't we, the best 25 minutes we've seen from him in a Pompey shirt. It smacked to me of the 25 minutes we saw of him at Wigan away, which I'm sure you remember from this season.
Yeah, I wasn't at Wigan away, was I? But I've seen bits and pieces of it and been made very aware by you guys. But basically, Gavin White, from the moment he came on, he was full of running. He didn't put a foot wrong.
That'll do. we'll crack straight on. Peps, if you're back with us, 17 points from 7 games against sides in the top 6. How special is that?
That's very good. It's a great record, and Pompey always seem to turn up the gear a little bit when they play against a team in the top 6. We've seen it all season long, and we need that going into the running as well. We still got to play Barnsley. That'll be a big game at home. Derby under the lights. And then Bolton penultimate away game of the season, which will be an absolute cracker with 2,600 Pompey fans behind that goal. So, yeah, we need that record going into the run. We've obviously got Shrewsbury as well at home and Wigan at home. So it's a great record to have. And I remember seasons past where we've struggled against teams we're competing with. We don't really turn up as well away. We've played quite a number of those games away. Barnsley away, we turned them over 3-2, 3-0 up in 20 minutes. Derby, we got that last-minute penalty. Peterborough, one of the best sides in the league, we won 1-0. So it's a great record to have, and it just shows this Pompey side is different, and I'm all for it.
But, Bon, when you hear from certain people, certain places, cough, cough, Jack Ward Football Podcast, Pompey didn't blow us away, don't know how Pompey are top, Pompey have got the hardest run in, that matters absolutely zero in my eyes, because these players are proving that they are good enough and they can do it.
Again, my favourite word for this show so far is resolute. The calmness, the composure. It just seems like the confidence that Mourinho and his coaching team have put into our squad is just fantastic. It's composure we've never seen before. We're not seeing the same mistakes on the ball. We're not giving the ball away as stupidly as we've done in the past. it's just a fantastic development in the team that just, again, long may it continue.
Last thing on yesterday before we get onto the player ratings, Dan, the emotion and sense of feeling at the full-time whistle when we knew we were there. It's to me, I saw a tweet last night that describes it perfectly. The full-time whistle, the noise is the sound of a fan base that has suffered for 15 years and is beginning to believe that better days are ahead. How much would you associate yourself with that?
Definitely. I said to you, I'd have to go back probably 20 years, maybe a bit more, for such a great atmosphere. But it was all out of a sense of euphoria, but relief, and just the fact that, just the fact that felt like a massive shove in the right direction, didn't it?
Barnes going to give us some referee info, everybody. So strap in.
Well, the only thing I was going to say, I didn't realise that this bloke was American. There's a whole referees pay dispute going on over in America, has been going on for a while. MLS is all franchised, as you know, it's a business, American sports is. So it doesn't shock me that there's American refs leaving over there. There'll be some of the better ones that are FIFA registered, that's possibly why he's come over to the EFL to join in. But it shows the difference in professionalism from over here to over there, that there's more here. So this is what I can only describe as the New York City version of Andrew Moon, Glenn Crooks, hanging out with the ref the day before a New York game.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, can you imagine that here? Imagine if that broke as a story here. Ref hangs out with Pompey media team day before game. Just wouldn't happen, would it? Like the difference in the professional between third tier football in England and what is supposed to be professional soccer in America. So,
in terms of
the New York stuff,
in terms of the referee himself, I actually thought he did really well. I thought he was on the scene very quickly when things were happening. I don't know whether that's an American thing or not, and that's not me trying to stereotype, but he genuinely seemed to just be there, being amongst it, just got in people. There was a few little flashpoints, and he just got there and dealt with things. I thought he did really well. We are going to talk about the man of the match poll in a moment or two. I just want to do a little bit more on that man, Cassini Yengi, and probably not bring in the whole Yengi Bishop debate, Pepe, because it's probably another debate for another time. But it feels like absolutely ages since we've been able to say we've got two fantastic strikers. And that is probably the difference maker this season, isn't it? Two that you can depend on, not one that's carrying the burden, and goals from elsewhere too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw a tweet earlier this afternoon about someone saying, why moaning about Cassini Yengi and Colby Bishop, and then compared to the strike force that we had 10 years ago, which was made up of Craig Westcar, Miles Story, Paul McCallum, those kinds of names. So it's a great debate to have, and it's a great headache for Messino having two strikers who can both get on the score sheet, who both know where the goal is, sort of just knocking on the door, wanting to start every week. And obviously Colby Bishop's got the nod a lot this season, but Cassini Yengi, every time he's been in, has contributed. I can understand why he was dropped yesterday in some sense, purely because he might have wanted Christian Sadie as that hold up number 10, or that sort of bullied number 10 role behind Bishop. But Cassini Yengi, when he came on yesterday, was fantastic, and he was fantastic on Tuesday night. 3 goals now in 2 games. And it's exciting that Bishop and Yengi can play together. I think it's a great asset to have, really. Yengi with his goal contribution, his pace and his power. Bishop with his hold up play and then vision on the ball. It's just a great asset to have. And I think Cassini Yengi, a fit and fire, and Cassini Yengi is a massive problem to have.
It's just gone 25-7. Hello, good evening, and welcome to 4-0 Sunday Live. Just shy of 400 of you still with us tonight, so thank you so much indeed for that. We've still got 25 minutes to go. Really excited to bring you the rest of the show. It's time for player ratings. Dan, anything you'd agree with, change, disagree, or are you pretty set on those?
I'm fairly set on those. Moxon as the star of the pack surprises me a little, but again, he contributed, and as I said before, there were so many big performances all over that pitch that I'm struggling when it comes to a man of the match.
Yeah, there's a few more you could have thrown in: Sean Raggett, Connor Shaughnessy, Barney's mentioned that earlier. Jack Sparks all missing out on our man of the match poll list as well. But lovely to see, all by Jack Sparks, Barn, which, as we know, and the FOTMob kind of, I don't know, the FOTMob towers and the powers that be, if you do get a yellow card, that number comes down significantly. But if it wasn't for the yellow, that back four would be all green. And a 7.8 for Mr. Zach Swanson.
It's just the positivity across the team, isn't it? What in the have you got the sub score for White? Can you see what his score was?
Oh, I'm afraid you might be pushing my my capabilities a little bit there. I will tell you as you talk.
Amateur. Sparks didn't stand out for me an enormous amount during the game, to be honest. So, but that could be just through bits I'd missed, not being able to watch it live fully. It was still just the centre backs that stood out for me for the composure that they start with. You kind of want to be most solid at the back, right? You want your keeper and your centre backs to be able to move out with the ball. And they did that with such calmness yesterday. And I suppose Swanson and Sparks will naturally be a part of that as well. So they should deserve to be all green. I agree.
You got Gavin White on a 7.3. There we go for anyone playing along at home. We are going to reveal the result of the man of match poll. Before we do so, we'll go around the group on this. Pepe's asked me not to ask him for a man of the match, but I'm sure he can make a decision anyway. Dan, if I had to push you on the ones, and I know we've already mentioned so far this evening that you've got a couple of shouts that weren't on there. Your choices are Marlon Pack, Cassini, Yengi, Zach Swanson, and Sean Raggett in the live chat. Where would your vote go?
My vote would go to Pack.
Cool. Barm?
I went Raggett.
Peps, go on, make a choice.
I'll join it and go with Sean Raggett. I think what everyone's saying about him on Twitter and the sort of change of Sean Raggett this season, another great performance yesterday at the back. So I'll join Barn and go Sean Raggett.
So no one's gone for the actual leading way in the poll in the live chat down below. I should say as well, Ben is on at 8 o'clock this evening, so make sure you head on over and join Jake and Ben. And we've also still got that League One podcast to record this evening as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Scott's raised a very good point that we will get on to. It's so much unavailability, and I saw a list earlier on of all the players that we could have had that we didn't have for Peterborough, and still managed to get that result as well, which is fantastic. Rich is looking forward to Marlon at Southsea Common with the trophy. That will be emotional. I did say to Gaz earlier on today, right, when that whistle goes, whenever it may be, if it's games that are still, if we've still got games left at the end of the season, we know mathematically, I'm so worried that I'm just going to burst out into tears and it's going to be documented on the internet. I don't know. I just thinking about it absolutely scares the life out of me. But anyway, it will probably happen. And if it does, we'll try and embrace it as best we can. Right, I think we're oh no, we do need to reveal the man of the match poll, don't we? Let's not get carried away and all emotional. Zach Swanson on 11% of your vote this evening, Sean Raggett with 17.17, Captain Marvel, Captain Marlon Pack with 32% and leading the way, 40% of the vote. So it's a minority is Cassini Yengi. Right then, let's crack on. It's time for the PPG update, everybody, which is always everyone's favourite part of the show. And it always gets me excited on the stream as well. This is what we are looking at. I say this when we get these numbers up every single time on your screens. It's a mere reflection of the work done so far, an example of what could be. With 7 games to go now, Pepe, that line is looking pretty good.
Every time I'm on it, Tom, it looks better and better. And I love Nappers' PPG after every game as well, predicted points, and it's slowly creeping towards that 100 mark. And if we were to hit 100 points this season, Tom, I think it would be absolutely phenomenal. Promotion alone, but to do it with 100 points would be exceptional, absolutely exceptional. And I don't want to get ahead of myself because obviously we've got a huge run in playing those teams in and around us, but the main aim is promotion. So any more than that is exceptional, but it just looks so good, Tom. That black line is slowly creeping up towards the 90-point mark. Once we get to 90 points, I think we're up. I don't think anyone's getting above that. And then it's just a case of how far can we go.
So you think 7 more points does it?
I reckon 92. But no, I think 92. 92 for us is a safe bet, but I don't see many other teams getting above 90.
Yeah, I was saying to my brother earlier on today, and he's a bit of much more of a whiz with numbers than I am. He said it would take an awful lot. It would take teams winning every single game around us and us having an absolute capitulation. So I think between 7 and 10, maybe even 11, would do the trick. Barn, do we want to care to explain what Ben's talking about, or are we just going to leave that one in the comments?
I've already mentioned I was at a wedding. There was naturally many beers consumed. Let's move on.
Yes.
Apart from congratulations to Paul and Emily, and hello to the Dew Lakes that I know are watching.
Well, you should have said that from the start.
I put it in the comments, so it's fine.
Okay, that's all right then. Well, hello and many congratulations. Hope you have a long and prosperous marriage together. AP said, we were thinking about this morning. Oh, I think this is in relation to me tearing up. If we get promoted, everyone will be crying their eyes out. Yes, I think we all probably will do. Dan, 2.2 points per game in the calendar year of 2024.
Yes, fantastic. We're exactly the same points total as Plymouth had at this stage last season. We're going up, and if we don't go up as champions, I think we'd all have to agree it would feel like an anticlimax now. A lot of football still to be played, but we said, Tom, we're playing the teams around us, so it truly is in our hands. It couldn't be more in our hands. So having come this far, we've got to back ourselves. We're coming home to the championship, as I said to you yesterday, mate.
We are coming home. Hopefully. We are not counting our chickens on Fournilwrittenalloverit. We certainly won't do it live when I can't go back and edit what I've said as well. The only little blemish on that black line in there on that graph, Barn, and I don't want to spend all night on the graph, but that's sort of in the middle between game week 24 to 26. That is the Bristol Rovers Exeter sort of situate. It might have been tail end of Exeter, Bristol Rovers, Cheltenham kind of time, which is the only blemish on what has otherwise just been a complete upward trajectory all season.
I mean, that upward trajectory, easy for you to say to me. I heard about your predicted score, your predicted points that Pompey should be on the on T-Lop. That apparently by now we'd be on about 174 points. I think that line needs to be on there.
It's not the case.
I mean, Dill was in the back of my car working out the tables for the T-Lops.
It wasn't 174, was it?
Well, no, it's like 104 or something already.
Well, you've got back the boys, haven't you?
Those blue tinted lenses that you were wearing, I think, every time you do it. But
that's the ones.
Everyone's going to have one blemish, or if not two. I still worry that there's going to be a little drop off because we've still got some big games to play, and there were moments yesterday where Peterborough were all over us, or maybe not all over us, but certainly could have, should have scored. That one in the first half where they blasted it off the bar, we're probably lucky to get away with that. If they scored, does the game change completely? You don't know. Yeah, there we go. That exact moment. I just don't do it, Pompey. Come on, just keep it together. Come on.
I reckon keeping it together is hard, and keeping it together is key actually, and it's something that sort of, when you just said keeping it together, when you watch the full-time scenes that Max and Owen put together on the socials, Peps, I don't know if you spotted it, I certainly did. The very first moment and the first players you see are Riley Towler and Josh Martin. Absolutely nothing to do with the game whatsoever. Sat on the bench for the whole 90 minutes, warming up before the game and half-time. But they were absolutely ecstatic. If there's anything about this group of players that we know, it's that they are together and they will hold it together, and they care about this for themselves. They care about it for the club, and they're all playing for the shirt. And I'm not saying that other teams and players would not be playing for the shirt, but there have been times in the past 10 to 15 years where I've questioned one or two, even publicly on this channel, whether they're in it for Portsmouth Football Club or not. And we know that this group of players completely are.
Absolutely. The togetherness in this team is phenomenal. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, where you've got a team so united, where I think Messino's made it so clear in the press, and he's obviously said it behind the scenes, where he's just come out and said, this is a whole season where everyone's going to be needed. Everyone's going to be called upon at some stage. So, okay, you might be out this game. You might not even be on the bench, but at some stage you'll be called upon. And I think it was the video of Yengi celebrating the goal, and you see Lee Evans, who's only been here 2 weeks, hasn't even played yet, and has just been on the bench twice, jumping onto Cassini Yengi acting like he's been here the whole season, has played 40 games, caring so much about the club. And I just think it's so good that this team has such togetherness. And I think Danny Cowley last couple of years, speaking to him, he tried to get his team together by doing events and all kinds of stuff, like when they were off in Spain or Portugal or whatever, and they were doing like boat races and stuff like that. But for some reason, this team is just so together, and Messino installing that belief where everyone will be used at some point, it's just made everyone sort of more passionate about it, I think. And we're sort of seeing that now with the results on the pitch and how close we are to the Championship.
Gaz is boarded and ready. Have a safely journeys, mate. We are Pompey said it's impossible. It's important, it's not impossible. It's definitely not impossible. It's important to point out that Bishop Yengi partnership is really blossoming. They can play together. The link-up play was vibrant. We're going to talk about Cassini Yengi for probably the third and final time tonight, Dan. That graphic in the middle of everyone's screens at home and on our screens here on the panel, that is quite something. He churns the goals out like no tomorrow.
It's fantastic, isn't it? And that's after us, we sat in the car yesterday and even criticised one or two that, he might have missed against Burton, but the stats don't lie, Tom. That's a fantastic stat.
And Barney actually probably could have had maybe 2 or 3 yesterday.
Well, I was going to say, when you put up his stats from the game earlier and it had his XG at like 0.86 or something, you probably suspect that a good chunk of that didn't even come from the goal. Because he's made the most of that goal. He's had to do the step over to make the space to get the shot away. So it's not a given goal, and he's not right in front of it. So it's not going to be a fully expected goal. He's had some great opportunities, but nonetheless, he still scored. So let's just all be positive and just be grateful that we've got Big Kuss up top.
And if there is going to be one tiny little thing, come on, Cassini. What is going on with the assists, mate? What's happening there? Everything else is ridiculously amazing.
He's working on one big assist by trying to get his brother to sign for us, as I posted on Insta during the week.
Yes, I did see, and I also saw earlier on today as well, any of the discourse that anyone spotted on Instagram between Marlon Pack and Alex Robertson.
Yeah.
That was quite exciting. I don't know, maybe I'll just... And we're very, very careful to watch what we say here, especially live on Fournilwrittenalloverit and Fournilwrittenalloverit live. But those kind of chats, they probably don't happen if there's absolutely nothing in it, put it that way. And that's probably where we'll leave it. Doesn't matter who you play in League One if we keep applying ourselves correctly. We are on our way from Eddie. Jake says, your win yesterday reminded me of our winner. Oh, my word, it's a comment about Lincoln. Right, let's move on from that because it's a Pompey show.
All I'm seeing in the comments is Jake just trying to get people to bite. It's unbelievable. I'm still
there's nothing uncommon, mate, unfortunately. Let's have a brief chat about League One yesterday, and then we're going to talk about our games to come as well. It's normally the bit where we preview the Barnsley game, but we are not going to. It was a half decent day for us in the league, and the results pretty much mirroring what we wanted. A couple of better ones than we maybe would have hoped for. This is bit of a list of and kind of not all of them because they don't all fit on one screenshot, but we'll get them on there for you. Barnsley were held to a point at home to Cheltenham. Big win for Derby. They beat Bolton 1-0 at Pride Park. Lincoln, oh, here we go. Lincoln in the script again, put 5 past Bristol Road with so many goals at the moment from Michael Scubala on his side. Oxford got back to winning ways. Reading put 4 past Cambridge. 10 goals conceded this week for new manager Gary Monk at Barney's former beloved Cambridge United. Another decent day elsewhere in League One for Pompey, Dan. The only problem was we kind of wanted a point each at Pride Park rather than 3 for Derby.
Not necessarily, Tom. I think in terms of getting over the line with promotion, probably a Derby win helps us more in that the gap's 9 instead of 8, 7 or 8. So that there's now a bigger gap to that side mark. So and we've still got Derby to play at home. So I'd say that actually the 1-0 Derby probably favours us, if I'm honest. Looking at that, one hopes that Lincoln have blown themselves out by the final day. And we've got a Wycombe side to face shortly who put 5 past Peterborough.
Yes, so, and also quite a place where we need to go and blow away the cobwebs because we've not been great there. And I can't remember a good day. Well, someone's probably going to tell me in the chat now where we've had a good day away at Adams Park, but I can't remember one. FPG, fantastic Twitter account that you should definitely be following if you don't. Which game do we go up on? Logan's asking a similar question. Gentlemen, we're going to hold that thought for the next couple of moments. We will come on to Pompey's run in just a moment, and we'll probably ask the panel to try and jump in on where they expect that game might be for our final run. All of that from yesterday means this is the state of play for the League One table this Sunday evening. Pompey 5 clear at the top, Barn. Probably more importantly, 9 clear of Bolton in third.
Going back to what Dan was just saying about the prediction or what we would have preferred from yesterday from the Derby Bolton result, I probably would have preferred a draw or a Bolton win. I think Derby are the team of the two that's more to be worried about. We've all already mentioned it as well that we'd rather not just go up. We'd quite like to be champions now at this point. We've all been chanting it. We've all been chanting, you've seen the champions now return to your home and such like. So, you know, I don't want to get caught up if we do make some mistakes. And I think if there's one of the teams below us that's going to do it, I think that would be Derby. So I would have preferred a draw or a Bolton win yesterday. But it was great to see my mate's face just completely sink yesterday when Bolton went 1-0 down.
He's a serial winner, isn't he, Paul Warren? So definitely something to look out for. And Easter Tuesday, if that's what it's called. Is it called Easter Tuesday? It's the day after Easter Monday, so we'll call it Easter Tuesday. Yeah, that is looking like a crunch game. Very much looking forward to bringing you that. All the unmissable action, as always, here on Fournilwritten all over it. Peps, that league table's looking shiny, my son.
It is, and I think 9 points now. I think that's us. I don't want to call it too early, but I think we are almost all but there now. I think. I genuinely believe we've only lost 4 games all season. It will need a monumental muck up, as you'd say, because we're still before 9 o'clock.
And just for legal reasons, that was muck with an M, wasn't it, Pepe?
Yep,
lovely.
Muck up.
Thank you very much.
You could say mess up.
Mess up.
Yep, you'd need a monumental effort to drop out the top 2. Bear in mind, we haven't dropped out the top 2 since September, early September was it? So we've been occupying those top 2 spaces for almost all of the season. So, and I don't see that changing at all anytime soon either. I think there's enough points in those games coming up where we can get it over the line. Shrewsbury at home, that's a winnable game. Wickham away, it'll be a tough game, but a game we can win. Derby under the lights will be a tough game, but it'll be a Tuesday night. With a capacity crowd at Fratton Park as well. We know how that goes with Bolton earlier in the season. Bolton away, I think it'll either be Bolton away or Barnsley at home where we do it. I'd love it to be Bolton away. I think that would be probably one of the best away days ever. I'm seeing the comments saying clip it and Jake saying Pepe's jinxing it. So I'll happily sit here and do whatever if we bottle it. But I don't believe we will. I don't believe we will. I'm confident enough. So yeah, it's big, Tom.
It is big, and you're right. It would be monumental for us to throw it away. And just to back up your point, people not clipping it, but let's not forget that Pompey would probably need to lose at least 3 or 4 now, and we've only lost 4 all season, and we've played 39 games. So I think that probably case in point. This is usually the bit where we do a Barnsley preview, chat about next weekend, but of course, as I'm sure you've seen, that will now be our last Tuesday night game of the season. It's at Fratton under the lights, and we'll be previewing that game here on 4-0 Sunday Live when we get closer to it. What we will do is, seeing as we don't have a game next weekend, we'll have a run through of Pompey's remaining 7 games. Pompey's mentioned them. Pepe's mentioned them there. We're off to Adams Park on Good Friday. Not normally, as I've already mentioned, the happiest of stomping grounds for us. Derby at home is massive. The night after Easter Monday under the lights at Fratton, Shrewsbury at home. Potential title decider of autos or title lays in wait for us at Bolton, followed by what also could end up being a title or autos decider at home to Barnsley. Wigan at Fratton is the last home game of the season, followed by Lincoln away on the final day. Dan, you've been an advocate of it for weeks. You've said many times, great news that we're playing the top teams because that does present the opportunity to keep those teams at arm's length.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm also aware going into these fixtures, Tom, that football over the years has taught me that sometimes the teams you can concerned about on that run-in are not necessarily the teams that you thought you should be concerned about. Wycombe concerns me a little bit. The Ainsworth factor's gone, but they've won their last 3. They won 4 of their last 5. They've only lost 1 game at home since this calendar year, and they've got a lot of players there who can hurt us. You know that they. I think they put 5 past Peterborough with 5 different scorers, so they've got goals potentially from all over the pitch, and they're banging form, particularly at home. You know, I don't think you can count your chickens with any of those matches. And, you know, what I would warn all Pompey fans to do is just say that, you know, if we do slip up on one, let's not hit the panic button. We're where we are for a reason. I said to you time and time again, Tom, if we play most games on our terms, we'll be all right, because that's why we're where we are. So no panic buttons to be hit, but don't expect that there won't be the odd banana skin somewhere.
Barn, what do you make of the run-in to come? What are your thoughts on what you've heard and what you're thinking in general?
I mean, to go back to your point about Wycombe away, I think a few of the people in the comments have reminded our last win there, the 1-0 away with Harness scoring. I seem to remember Brett Pittman popping in a worldy free kick in front of the away end a few years back. 2020, something like that, 2019 maybe. That's what we're going to see. We're going to see Marlon Pack put one top bins, make the away end go mental. Everyone in there and their 100 plus away loyalty points are going to go mental. All Twitter. I see us doing it at Bolton, because I mean it makes the most mathematical sense that if we win our next 3, I don't think we'll beat Derby. I think that'll be a draw. But I do think we'll beat Wycombe and Shrewsbury. I think if we then beat Bolton, I don't see them winning their next 3 games either. So I think that will be where we mathematically seal it. So that the Tuesday night, when we then beat Barnsley a few days later, pitch invasion galore. Not that I'm actively encouraging it on Fournilwrittenalloverit, but, you know, I look forward to putting you on my shoulders and meeting you in the middle of the pitch, having come from the Fratton end and you come from the South Stand somehow. Don't know how.
Absolutely. Get me there. However, it is an offence to encroach on the field of play. We should just put that out there.
Unless 18,000 of us are doing it, then let's all do it.
No, this is true. Yes. But yeah, we're in a little bit of a rabbit hole and I'm going to try and scurry ourselves out of it. Wycombe are a good side at home. Still play the full Ainsworth long ball and I would imagine still the manipulative League.
They haven't lost
tactics
there since November. Sorry, Tom. My
Thank you very much.
viewing of the English Football League highlights on ITV, which was gripping the best of times. I think they said they haven't lost there since November. So nervous.
Yeah, nervous. However, Pompey have 2 losses in the last 26 on the road. So it's a decent enough matchup. Right. Well, that has brought us right up to 8 o'clock. Gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure to have been in your company. The last thing we all have to do, of course, is give a score prediction for the following game here on 4-0 Sunday Live. So now is your time. All 400 of you in the chat, get down below and leave a like as you do your score prediction. That'd be much appreciated. Over 400 at times this evening and still only 137 likes. So let's get that up. Daniel, if I could take a score prediction for Wycombe Pompey off you, you'd normally be hurriedly typing at home now. Get to say it live on the airwaves. What are we thinking, sir?
We're going to keep a 4th clean sheet consecutively away from home, and we're going to win 1-0.
Barm?
I'm going to go for an exact repeat of that Brett Pittman day. 3-2 Pompey.
Kieran saying 3-1 Wycombe. Oh, nice. Thanks, Kieran. That's a good one to start with. Cheers for that. 2-0 Pompey. Greta saying 3-0. Kane saying 2-1. Alex Trott is going for a Wycombe 0. Pompey 4, which would be a 0 for written all over it. Glenn's going 1-0. 1-0 from AP. 2-0 Pompey from PFC Matt. Peter Civil getting to you saying 3-0 Pompey. 2-1 Pompey. 3-0. 3-2. 2-0 Pompey. There's a bit of a general direction of traffic in all of these. Pompey and it Mush has sport the party by going 1-1. RC Helly. Lerner 2-0 Pompey. Ashley Ears. Sorry if I've pronounced yours. Name wrong, Ashley. I definitely have. 2-0 Pompey. Joey said 2-1. 0-2 from Graham. 1-1. 2-1. 14-0 from Ben King. I hope that's an accidental 1 before a 4-0. It might not be. He's a very confident man, is Ben. David saying 2-1. Gav Jones saying 2-0. 3-1 from Ken. 4-1 from Ben. 2-0 from James. Harris. Peps finishes off.
There's
always.
a 50-0 in there as well. Tom, you forgot to mention the 50-0.
Is there a 50-0? Is there?
There
Where's
is
the
a
50-0? From
Yeah.
Jack. Thanks for that, Jack.
To be fair, Yeovil Town women won 29-0 today, if anyone cares about that. But
They did.
I'll go 3-0. I'll go 3-0 Pompey. I'll go optimistic. I'm hopeful that I'm in that away end celebrating a win. So go 3-0 Pompey, Tom.
Lovely. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. 7 years in League One. We all thought we'd never leave. Cassini Yengi and this fantastic Pompey team might just be about to change that. Thanks for joining us. Have a great couple of weeks. And as always, play up Pompey. Bye from us.
Up the T-Lop.